and then we're building up to a terawatt of solar. So that will solve the solar problem, the power generation.
Those words came straight from Elon Musk's mouth, and almost nobody on this planet understood what he was actually confessing, while the entire world was busy panicking over robotaxis. Optimus robots and killer AI Tesla was quietly burying something far more dangerous into the ground outside Houston, Texas. Not a car factory, not a robot lab. A fortress designed to control the very electricity that keeps your home, your hospital, your retirement, and your country running. If you are over 50 and you remember what it felt like when gas prices doubled overnight without warning, when your power bill quietly crept up every single year, no matter who you voted for, then what you're about to hear should genuinely concern you. Because this time, the stakes aren't about a stock price chart on some app. They're about who decides whether the lights stay on in your own house. For years, every headline about Tesla revolved around the same three words: robotaxi, Optimus, and artificial intelligence. Wall Street obsessed over them. Financial analysts built entire careers predicting them. And while the cameras stayed locked on that shiny distraction, something massive was happening in complete silence. Just 35 miles outside Houston, Tesla was breaking ground on what could become the largest solar manufacturing facility the world has ever seen. Not the largest in America, not the largest outside China, the largest ever built by any company, anywhere in human history. Here's the part that should make you sit up straight. This isn't a concept video or a stage promise. The cranes are already up. The concrete is already poured. And according to Elon Musk himself, this single facility could eventually scale to 1,000 gigawatts of annual production. A number so large that most energy analysts initially refused to believe it was even physically possible. So why does almost nobody know this is happening? To understand the real danger hiding inside this story, we have to go back to a time when Tesla Solar looked like nothing but a broken promise. Back in 2016, Elon Musk acquired SolarCity and promised the world a clean energy revolution. New York State believed him so deeply that it poured nearly $1 billion in public incentives into Tesla's Buffalo factory, expecting it to become the largest solar hub in the entire Western Hemisphere. Instead, the dream collapsed. Panasonic took over production, then walked away completely in 2020. The factory quietly shifted towards supercharger, parts, and autopilot data, and Tesla Solar all but disappeared from the company's own earnings calls. But ask yourself this: what if that failure was never really a failure at all? What if Buffalo was simply a stress test, paid for almost entirely with government money, while Tesla quietly learned exactly how to build a supply chain that nobody else in the world had attempted? Because near the end of 2025, something shifted at that same Buffalo facility. Tesla quietly began producing a brand new solar panel called the TSP 420. By early 2026, it entered the US market with almost no fanfare. Most people dismissed it as a small, desperate attempt to revive a dying business line. But based on the timeline of everything that followed, that panel looks less like a comeback and more like a final systems check before something much bigger was unleashed. Just weeks later, Elon Musk stood on stage at the World Economic Forum in Davos and dropped a number that stunned even seasoned energy executives. Tesla and SpaceX, he said, would each build enough domestic solar manufacturing capacity to reach 100 gigawatts a year, controlling the entire chain from raw materials to the finished panel on your roof. The market reacted exactly the way it always does to Musk's biggest claims. Too expensive, too ambitious, probably never going to happen. Then the evidence started arriving. CNBC reported that Tesla was negotiating to purchase nearly $2.9 billion worth of advanced solar manufacturing equipment, almost all of it shipped directly from China to Texas. And suddenly, an impossible-sounding promise started looking exactly like a real, funded, physical construction project. Now we know precisely where it's happening. In Brookshire, Texas, just outside Houston, Tesla has reportedly leased more than 1.65 million square feet of industrial space, roughly the size of 28 standard football fields side by side, with plans to expand even further in the near future. And here is where the story stops looking like a factory and starts looking like a strategy. This site sits directly beside Tesla's roughly $200 million Megapack battery factory. These are not two separate investments. Based on everything publicly confirmed so far, this increasingly looks like one single, deliberately engineered energy campus. Think about what that actually means. A solar farm without storage is only half a system. The moment the sun sets, its value collapses. But a solar farm paired directly with Megapack batteries becomes something entirely different, a power source that never sleeps. Tesla isn't just trying to sell more panels here. According to public filings and reported plans, the company appears to be assembling what could be described as an autonomous energy node, a self-contained operation capable of pulling raw silicon ingots in one end of the building and pushing out finished storage-ready electricity on the other. That kind of total vertical integration, from silicon ingot to wafer to photovoltaic cell to finished panel, all under one roof, is almost unheard of in today's solar industry, where most manufacturers still rely on fragile, multi-country supply chains scattered across Asia. If you remember how Tesla disrupted the car industry by refusing to depend on outside suppliers, you already understand exactly what's happening here. They're doing it again. This time to the electricity grid itself, and the location is no accident either. Houston isn't just close to Austin, it's one of the largest port cities in the entire United States, with the infrastructure required to import billions of dollars of specialized machinery directly from overseas. According to reported plans, Tesla intends to bring in highly advanced automated production equipment from Chinese suppliers, the very country that currently controls more than 80% of global solar manufacturing capacity, according to International Energy Agency estimates. In other words, Tesla may be using China's own technology to build a fortress designed to make America independent of it. Beyond the port access itself, Houston also offers a deep regional labor pool, an established industrial logistics network, and far more room to expand than a city like Austin could ever realistically provide. Three advantages that quietly matter just as much as the headline production numbers. Now let's talk about the number that should genuinely worry every single person watching this. Tesla's current Buffalo facility produces around 300 megawatts of solar panels every single year. The new target in Brookshire is 100 gigawatts annually. That is not a 10% improvement. That is not doubling. That is an increase of more than 300 times current output. And Tesla's own timeline reportedly suggests reaching that scale in under 3 years. To put that in perspective, first, solar. Currently, the largest solar panel manufacturer in the entire United States is projected to reach only about 17.7 gigawatts of annual capacity by 2027. In all of 2023, the entire United States combined installed roughly 32 gigawatts of new solar capacity nationwide. Read that again. One single Tesla factory is reportedly targeting more than 3 times what the whole country installed in an entire year. It's completely understandable if your instinct right now is skepticism. Elon Musk has a long, well-documented history of missing his own deadlines. The solar roof was supposed to transform residential construction and largely faded into the background. The 4680 battery program took years longer than originally promised. The Tesla Semi arrived well behind schedule, too. So the real question isn't whether Tesla can build another factory. It's whether any company on Earth can scale an entire manufacturing category this fast without hitting the same wall that has slowed almost every one of Musk's biggest promises before. But here's the detail that changes everything about this particular project. Unlike Buffalo, this facility in Brookshire is reportedly not being built on the back of government subsidies or political incentive packages. No state appears to be writing Tesla a massive check in exchange for promised jobs. Based on current estimates, the manufacturing equipment alone could cost close to $3 billion. And once you factor in clean rooms, construction and infrastructure, the full campus investment could climb beyond $4 billion, funded almost entirely by Tesla's own capital. That single fact matters more than almost anything else in this entire story. When a company spends its own $4 billion instead of relying on taxpayer subsidies, it removes the political strings attached to projects like Buffalo. There's no obligation to hit arbitrary job quotas on a government timeline. There's reportedly far more freedom to automate aggressively and optimize purely for output and cost. And here is the part that should really make you pause. Tesla doesn't even need to hit its full 100 gigawatt target for this to reshape the entire industry. If the factory only ever reaches 20 or 30 gigawatts, Tesla would immediately become one of the largest solar manufacturers in the United States overnight. If it scales to 50 gigawatts, it wouldn't simply compete with today's domestic leaders. It would redefine the entire competitive landscape of American energy production. The headline number of 100 gigawatts grabs the attention, but the real story is that even a partial success here could permanently transform who controls solar manufacturing in this country. Now think through the basic economics for a moment, because this is where things get uncomfortable for every other company in this space. When production scales into the hundreds of gigawatts under one fully automated, vertically integrated roof, the cost to produce each individual watt of solar capacity tends to fall dramatically. According to basic economy of scale principles, some industry observers have speculated that Tesla's profit margins on solar could eventually climb well beyond 30%, a number that would make most of today's solar manufacturers, who depend on fragmented multi-country supply chains, look almost obsolete by comparison. It's worth being careful here, because nobody outside Tesla actually knows the final numbers yet. And these remain projections, not confirmed facts, But the scenario being discussed by some analysts is direct. If Tesla only needs to run this factory at a fraction of its capacity to undercut competitors like First Solar on price, smaller domestic manufacturers could be pushed toward consolidation or even forced out of the market entirely. That's not a hypothetical limited to spreadsheets. That's a potential shift in who controls a resource every single household depends on. Pause here for a second, because this is exactly the kind of shift that has historically caught everyday families off guard. We've seen it before with oil, with telecommunications, even with food production. Whenever an industry concentrates that tightly into the hands of one player, prices and access tend to follow whatever that one player decides, not what the open market would otherwise produce. Nobody is claiming that outcome is certain here, but based on the sheer scale of capital being committed and the deliberate choice to fund it without outside government strings attached, it would be naive to assume the outcome is irrelevant to ordinary households either. Whether that turns into lower bills through efficiency or tighter control through dominance may depend entirely on how this single factory in rural Texas actually performs over the next 3 years. And just when you think the story stays contained to Texas, it doesn't. While most of the public attention has stayed locked on the 100-gigawatt solar project, Tesla has quietly been making a parallel move on another continent. Reports indicate Tesla is preparing a major expansion of Gigafactory Berlin, with a new facility planned directly north of the existing site, potentially nearly doubling its total footprint. This isn't simply about producing more cars or hiring more line workers. Even though Tesla has confirmed plans to boost Berlin production by another 20% starting in October, alongside roughly 1,000 new hires. Early signals suggest Berlin's expansion is being built to house Tesla's next major product line, the purpose-built Cybercab, with the Optimus humanoid robot potentially following afterward. Producing the Cybercab directly in Europe would eliminate the need to ship vehicles across the Atlantic, letting Tesla deploy autonomous fleets across major European cities. The moment regulators give the green light, combined with continued on-site 4680 battery cell production, Berlin increasingly looks like a European mirror image of what's being built in Texas, a closed-loop, vertically integrated energy and manufacturing ecosystem, largely insulated from transatlantic tariffs or energy shocks. Notably, this expansion comes shortly after workers at the plant voted against union representation in the latest Works Council election, giving Tesla considerably more flexibility to execute its long-term plans without the same constraints that slowed projects like Buffalo. So, step back for a second and look at the whole picture. A vertically integrated solar fortress in Texas, funded with the company's own billions. A parallel mega expansion in Berlin tied to autonomous vehicles and robotics, and a stated long-term ambition, in Musk's own words, of building a full terawatt of solar power. If even a fraction of this plan comes together, the way it's been described, we may be witnessing the early blueprint of a company attempting to control not just transportation, not just artificial intelligence, but the actual generation and storage of electricity itself. On 2 continents at once, 2 separate countries, 2 separate factories, one single underlying ambition: complete control over how energy moves from raw material to the wall socket in your own home, Let's slow down for one moment and really sit with what vertical integration means for a regular household. Right now, when you sign up for solar power or even just pay your monthly electricity bill, you are paying for a chain of middlemen. Raw material suppliers, panel manufacturers, shipping companies, installers, and utility providers, each one taking their own cut along the way. What Tesla appears to be attempting in Brookshire collapses almost that entire chain into a single building. Silicon goes in one door, and a finished, storage-ready power system comes out the other, according to the same logic that allowed Tesla to undercut traditional automakers on production cost. Collapsing that chain could eventually translate into a similar disruption for the price of electricity itself. Here's a number worth repeating slowly, because it's easy to let it slide past without registering the scale. 1.65 million square feet. That's roughly 28 full-size football stadiums standing side by side, all dedicated to a single, continuous production line. Most solar manufacturing facilities operate as a single stage in a long, fragmented chain. This one is reportedly designed to be the entire chain, compressed into one physical footprint. If that scale of automation and integration actually performs the way it's been described, the resulting cost advantage could be difficult for legacy manufacturers, who still depend on shipping partially finished components between countries to ever fully catch up to. And remember, none of this requires Tesla to hit its full 1 terawatt ambition to matter to your daily life. Even a partial version of this plan, reaching a fraction of the stated target, would still represent one of the largest single concentrations of domestic energy manufacturing capacity that this country has ever seen in one place. That's the part that should stay with you long after this video ends. Not the headline number, but the quiet realization that the foundation for it is already being poured into the ground right now, while almost nobody outside the energy industry was paying attention. So here's where we land, and where you get the final say. Wall Street analysts are already mocking the 1 terawatt figure, calling it another Musk fantasy destined to collapse the same way Buffalo nearly did. But other energy experts are warning of something very different. That if Brookshire is finished as planned, Tesla could end up holding real influence over how an entire country prices its electricity, turning traditional utility companies into little more than middlemen. Which side do you believe? The skeptics on Wall Street, or the warning from the energy experts who study these supply chains for a living? Drop your honest prediction in the comments below, because we genuinely want to see where this audience stands. If this breakdown opened your eyes to something you hadn't connected before, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel keep digging into stories like this one. And if you want to be there the moment we uncover what's really happening inside Tesla's Berlin expansion and the next phase of this global energy strategy, subscribe and turn on notifications, because that story is coming very soon, and you won't want to miss it. We'll be tracking every permit, every shipment, and every new hire coming out of Brookshire, so you hear about it long before the mainstream headlines catch up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.